Talks Villa, and we are here to talk about what an absolute mental few hours, few days that we've had in the transfer window. And obviously today, the big one has come out, and that is that Ollie Watkins could genuinely be going to Saudi Arabia. Now, you have seen I've done a fair bit of content on this already, but I feel like I need to come on and do a longer piece and actually go through this because there's a lot that I need to get off my chest. And for those of you that are wondering, I'm looking at my phone right now, and the reason for that is I'm just updating the thumbnail because people aren't going to know what I'm actually talking about. Just get this done very quickly, and then we will get into the episode. So, look, it's not ideal, is it? It really isn't ideal, especially this close to the window, this happening, end of the window that this is happening. It really, really isn't ideal to be potentially looking at losing your main striker in Ollie Watkins. It's borderline suicidal, in my opinion. There is obviously the argument and the element to it that look, he's getting old. He's not the player that he was. He's not the player that that I mean, he's getting old. That's the build and end all. Let me just update this, guys. 1 second. Ollie Watkins to Al-Hilal. For those of you that are in the chat already, I'm just updating the YouTube bits, and then we'll get going and properly into this episode. Aston Villa. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, guys. I want to hear from you as well. What your thoughts are. And then we'll go into it properly. But I'm a bit shell shocked. I'm not going to lie. I'll be honest. Ollie Watkins is probably my favourite striker. Obviously that I've had at Aston Villa in my lifetime. He's probably my favourite player in the team, apart from John McGinn. And to see him go, he's just. It's a kick in the teeth, isn't it? If he goes, the club could still very much put our feet down and deny the move. I've just opened up the chat as well, so get your comments in the chat, and we'll go through every comment, and we'll get some up on the screen and go through then. So we've had a comment straight away from the Villa lad, and he said, "If we were to sell Ollie, surely we would have already signed another striker." So I think he's saying, I don't necessarily think so, mate. To be honest with you, I think this has come on quite quickly. I think they had a bit of interest earlier on in the window, but not to the level of what we've got now. My general feeling about it is I don't think, and people might not agree with me, I don't think we would have signed Alejandro Garnacho if they knew this was going to be as deep as it is in terms of the interest, the level of interest. And yes, the bid has been turned down, but ultimately they'll come back. They'll come sniffing if they've put that initial first bid in. They will be back. I don't think we would have gone in for Garnacho if this was going to happen and going to materialise. And I think we would have gone in for Nicholas Jackson. And look, Nicholas Jackson could still happen. I don't know how. I don't know how that would materialise because we're all aware of the 45-day window in terms of PSR and what that looks like in terms of the Morgan Rogers money. Villa ain't going to want to touch that Morgan Rogers money because ultimately it's massive on our books in terms of PSR or SCR, now it's called. So they're not going to want to do that. But our clubs, Chelsea and Chelsea and Villa, they seem to find a way to make things happen. So don't hold your breath that won't happen because it could very much materialise. It just feels like the last few days, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section, guys. But it just feels like it's been an absolute mind-blowing few days, few weeks, even like even from the start of the window when the Tielemans, Rogers, all that sort of stuff transpired. Never did I think we would be at this point now where we've lost Tielemans, Rogers, Digne, potentially Emi Martinez will be out the door very soon. Then Ollie Watkins could go, and obviously there's whispers online around Esri Konsa. For those of you that aren't following, there is a Villa in the know page, and they're saying and reporting that apparently Arsenal very close to making a breakthrough. Make of that what you will. I can see all three of them going. If I'm going to be honest with you, I've done content online around it. I wouldn't be surprised if they all go, which is mental, isn't it? You think of the amount of change that's happened there in the football club. It's crazy, especially going this close to the end to the start of the season. There's still just under 3 weeks left of the transfer window. Things can happen. I want to hear from you guys. Let me know if Watkins does go, who would be your replacement? For me, I've been quite clear. I think if we can make it happen, Nicholas Jackson's my first choice. I think I rate Jackson. I know some people don't like it, don't like him. but I'm a big fan. I think his movement is exactly the same as Ollie Watkins. He stretches the defence. I think he'd be the perfect replacement. I've seen some people saying about Jonathan David. I think he's absolutely shite in my opinion. But we've still got a hell of a lot of work to do. I think we need another midfielder. Palhinha is obviously the one that has been heavily linked. We've been talking about him. There's obviously potentially, do we need another right winger? Depends on what they think, what their thoughts are around Allison. Is Allison going to progress and be that player, because he's looked quite bright in pre-season? I think they've got away with one in terms of certain areas of the squad. Like I rate George Hemmings, who's coming through. Brian Maggio is definitely going to play a part, but there is absolutely no chance if Ollie Watkins does go that we can go into the season with just Brian Maggio and Tammy Abraham. I'm not going to lie, guys, and my general opinion on Tammy is I don't think Tammy is particularly lit up the ground, lit up the world, whatever you want to say, since he's come back to Villa, and I'm not convinced. I don't think he's the level that we need, but it's a real hard one to balance, isn't it? Because if you're looking at a striker to come in and play the supporting role behind a top striker, that market there, that market is very slim. Spurs struggled for years and years and years, didn't they, to get a striker to play second fiddle to Harry Kane? So naturally, you have to kind of measure your expectations. But Tammy certainly isn't a starting striker. Um, just catching up on some of the comments. Heard Bailey's close to Ajax. I did see something about Bailey to Ajax. I think we can all keep our fingers crossed that he gets out of the club. Look, Bailey did really well for us in the 23-24 campaign, but it's about time that he does move on. I think, having that, that 120k back in the books would be massive. And it's about time that he goes now, because he's offering absolutely nothing. This is an interesting one. I'm a big fan of it as well, but it wouldn't happen. I'd like Mamouche, but he'd have to take a mega. He would have to take a mega wage. He would. He's on 300k a week at Manchester City right now, and realistically, is he going to take a massive cut to come to Villa? Probably not. I did tout one out to my friend before I come on here, which I'd like to hear from some of you to see what you think. He said that he don't think it could happen because he doesn't want to play for another team in the Premier League, which I found quite strange considering he's already been at Aston Villa. But could there be a cheeky potential bid for Marcus Rashford? What do you think about that? Could we see a return for Marcus Rashford as our number 9? That interests me. Gary Howlett has commented. I'm going to pop that up on there. Martinelli is so meh, but Jackson, yes, I agree, mate. I don't see the Martinelli links as to how that's going to materialise, because Martinelli, like, he's not a striker. He's a left winger. We've got Garnacho that can play out there. We've also got obviously Manzambi, who's more of a central figure, but he can play that left attacking midfield role if needed. And then you've also got George Hemming. So are we going to go and sign someone like Martinelli, who's going to take quite a big fee to get him out of Arsenal? Even though Arsenal want to sell, they'll still expect at least 50 million. I would be thinking, and his wages aren't going to be like small. So overall, I don't see that one materialising in the slightest. The villainous villain. You went the in the no offer XI by any chance? Wages too high for Rashford. Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that's more out of the romantic side on of football. I liked Rashford and I really liked him at the Villa, and I'm a massive fan of his. I'd love to see him back if we could get him. Don't see it particularly happening, but again, it's just the romantic side of football. Like, a lot of people want Jack Grealish back, but I don't particularly want Grealish back, if I'm going to be completely honest, and that is more to do with the wages. Grealish won't come back anyway, especially now that we've signed Aaron Wan-Bissaka. The only way that would have potentially happened is if it was a low-cost fit loan, and we could have got him through the door that way. But now that we've signed, obviously, Wan-Bissaka on loan, and we've also got Garnacho on loan, we can't bring back any other domestic loans. So that kind of rules that one out. Can we get Diaby back? I did see that he was potentially going to someone quite recently. I can't remember who it was. Let me know in the comment section, guys, if you can remember who Moussa Diaby's potentially going to. But it was not a particularly big fee. And I'm sure there was an English side linked to him as well. So, look, I don't think particularly what we've done so far this window is bad. I don't think it's bad at all. Getting rid of Tielemans and bringing in João Gomez. I think that's a great move for us. 25 years old, João Gomez is the profile of him. He's got so much room to develop. I think that's a good move. There are different sort of players. Obviously, Tielemans is going to progress the ball more better probably than what João Gomez can. He plays through the lines a little bit better, but João Gomez has got so much room to develop. And one of my arguments around every single player that we've got, and I'm actually getting sick to the back of my teeth having this argument over and over again, is yes, these players aren't at the level, because what we keep getting thrown back at us at Villa fans, I'm sure you're all in a similar boat to me, is yeah, you've downgraded, you're not at the same level, you're gonna be worse. That's fine. Okay, no problem. They probably are, but they're also a younger profile and have got room to develop. When Unai Emery took over the football club, we signed Tielemans from Leicester, and people from Leicester were telling us that he's absolutely washed, he's fat, he's lazy, etc. etc. Then Yuri Tielemans under Unai Emery turned into one of the best midfielders in the league. Morgan Rogers, when we signed him from Middlesbrough, was an absolute nobody who developed into, on his day, he's a world beater. He could do some special things on the football pitch, and that was under the tutelage of Unai Emery. We could go through them all. Luca Digne, there was multiple people even in the Villa fan base, myself included. When he was under Gerrard, we wanted him sold because he was absolutely shite. Turned out to be one of the best left backs in the club's history, in my opinion. He was absolutely fantastic under Emery, and then obviously Emi Martinez. He was considered an Arsenal reject and a wash goalkeeper. Again, under Emery's stewardship, and tutelage, and all his coaches, turned out to be the world's number one and one of the best goalkeepers in our history as a football club. So, what the point is I'm trying to make is, yeah, Manzambi's coming. He's at 20 years old. Manzambi, he's got a massive ceiling, a huge ceiling. Garnacho's 22, still not old at all. He's still a kid coming in. He's got a big ceiling, big potential. And you look at all the other players. João Gomez, 25, hasn't played in the Champions League yet. Got a lot to prove. He wanted this big opportunity. He's come to Villa. I'm trying to think who the other one is now. Ruggieri. He went to Atletico Madrid. It hasn't worked particularly. They've all got something to prove. Ruggieri's only 24, I think, as well. They've all got something to prove. They've all got levels to go up. And under the guidance of Unai Emery, why can't they hit the levels of the players that we had before? And why can't they even go past that? And while we're there, obviously, I didn't even talk about Zion Suzuki as well, which is another really exciting one who's coming through the door. Obviously, I'll be honest, before the World Cup, I hadn't seen any of him for Parma, because I can't really say that I follow Serie A that tightly. But I was so impressed with him in the World Cup. And if you're going to lose Emi Martinez, yes, it's going to be a bitter pill to swallow. But there's players that are going to come in and you're going to be able to get through the door, which kind of, you know, damp, what's the word I'm looking for? Soften the blow a little bit. And I think with the talent that boy's got, it certainly does that. With him coming to the football club, it's what you get with him as well, in terms of the growth in terms of revenue and the growth in the Asian market. You're bringing in probably one of the most exciting players from Japan at the moment, a massive country in Asia. Obviously, it's probably not going to be the extent to what Spurs did with Heung-min Son, because everybody watches football, and what do we love when we watch football? We love watching goals. I don't think people are as asked about a goalkeeper. I could be completely wrong. I have took screenshots, by the way, of the Villa socials, just to see when that announcement's made after a few days, if we gain much followers, because I'll be very interested to see how many Japanese fans jump onto our socials just because of obviously the signing of Suzuki. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, though, guys. I want to hear from you. If you are new to our channel as well, make sure to smash that subscribe button. We give away match shirts or tickets of your choice, like to any game. We give that away every 500 subs, and I'll say we've got some really exciting things coming up throughout the season. Can't really give too much of that away. I'm currently going through a few bits, but once I can, I will share some information with yourselves, let you know what's going on. But there's going to be lots of giveaways, lots of stuff going on that's going to benefit you guys as Villa fans. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section as well, guys. I want to know, who do you think is going to be the best signing that we've made so far this summer? One player that I've touched on him briefly already, but I'm really excited to see him, is João Gomez. I can't wait to see what he's going to do and what he's going to progress and how he's going to start playing for Villa, because I just think he has looked so good in pre-season. He's first at every second ball. And I think he's got so much room to grow and develop. As I've just said, I didn't really know of him being that good in terms of his ball carrying. Like, I've always known him as this player that's nitty gritty, second to every ball. And that's what I thought we were going to get. But his ability on the ball to carry it has been so impressive. Like, I remember there was a game, I think it was the game against Bayern potentially, and he just or what it was either Bayern or Pathum United, and he picked the ball up and he literally drove it like up towards their left wing and went to put a cross in, and I was just like, okay, where's this come from? I didn't know João Gomez had that in the locker, so really excited to see him at Villa Park. To be honest with you, and let me know if you're going to Brighton this weekend. If any of you are and you see me, make sure to say hi. I will be at Brighton. I will be posting a match day vlog as well on the channel at some point, probably on the evening. Back to the point around Ollie Watkins though, because that was the main reason, obviously, for jumping on and doing this podcast now solo. You usually have me with either Matt, Corey, or someone else on as a guest, but I just thought it was imperative, really, just to get on and have a conversation about it. Look, from a selfish aspect, talking about it as a football fan, as a Villa fan, I'm going to be obviously disappointed. He's my favourite Villa player currently, other than John McGinn. He's a fantastic striker. I think he's the best that we've ever seen at the Villa in the Premier League era, in my opinion. People probably argue Dwight York, but I'm going to put my neck out for Ollie Watkins. From a personal point of view for him, can you blame him? Can any of us blame him taking this move if it's come available? Because if you think about it, his age now and having something like this on the table, they're going to pay him an absolute mint, a big bunch to go over there. He went to the World Cup this year, played second fiddle, which he was always going to, but his minutes were so limited. They were so limited. And he probably thought that he was going to get more, which has probably changed his mindset a little bit in terms of, being at such a competitive level to get into that England side, because ultimately next tournament is going to be 32, 33. What's the point? What is the point? Because if he goes to Saudi, he's going to make an absolute fortune. He's going to set his children's children back. Okay, let's just pop this up, this comment. So apparently he's been offered 400k a week. I'm not quite sure if that's accurate, but I'll take James's word on that. And yes, Gary from Every Week We Follow probably is ecstatic at him going. But imagine that you're getting 400k a week if that is the case, tax free, to go play for Al-Hilal. He's going to go over there, probably piss the league, because that's probably one of the better sides, them or Al Nassr, isn't it? And he's getting paid an absolute fortune to go. Even if he signs a 2-year deal, he's absolutely laughing all the way to the bank. So I can't blame him on that sense. At Villa, what else has he got to accomplish? He could have played another year in the Champions League. He could have. Are we going to win it? As a Villa fan, I'll say yes. I hope so. But from a realistic point of view, as a footballer, you can't really make that decision to base staying on that. He's won the Europa League, so regardless if he stays or goes, for me personally, my opinion, he goes down as a club legend because of what he's achieved at the club. He's been part of the journey all the way from when we just got promoted to the Premier League, to the Champions League, to the Europa League final, and won something for us. First time in 30 years that we'd won a trophy. So for me, whatever happens, he's going to be known as a Villa legend now. And what more has he got to accomplish at Villa? He probably wants to go and make his bread. You got to think this is a striker. Ollie Watkins, what was 10 years or so ago, playing at Western-super-Mare? Western-super-Mare in Exeter. So this isn't a player that's been at the top level from 16, 17, 18, 19, has made even more and more money. This is a striker that's played at a real, poor standard. And this is what's kind of molded him and grown him and shaped him as a footballer, as a person, because he's very much a well-rounded, level-headed person and individual. He just comes across and portrays, with the way he's portrayed and the way he portrays himself, he's just a really nice bloke. And if he goes, so be it. I wish him nothing but the best. I would wish him every success, and he goes as a Villa legend. The big piece for me is the replacement for Villa. Like I've said, I don't think we can go into the season with Tammy Abraham. I don't think Tammy's it. Brian Maggio, I think he's going to be an absolute superstar, but can we go into the season with them two? Not for me. Nicholas Jackson is my ideal replacement. I like another one. I like is for those of you remember when we played Bologna last season, and we played against what's his name now? Santiago Castro, I think it is, the striker, the Argentine. I thought he was quite good, and we've been linked with him in the past, and he would be available. I really don't like the links to Jonathan David. I'm not convinced with him in the slightest. If I'm going to be honest, I don't rate him. never have done. And I think it's proven since he made that move and he's been pony. This is an interesting comment, so let's go through this. So, relearning the game says, "Can we get Jackson?" And I'll be honest with you and give you my my knowledge. No, I don't think we can. Um, the 45-day window in terms of PSR would make it look like a swap deal. Okay, so according to James, Castro is now at Roma. So that pisses all over that. I thought he was still at Bologna. So the one that we have to sign is Nicholas Jackson. My understanding, but back to relearning the game's point, is if we want to take Nicholas Jackson, it's going to affect the Morgan Rogers money. So it just depends where the club's head at. Do they want to sacrifice that money and just get that striker over the line for Unai Emery? I highly doubt it. Surely football, they have to think about the financial side of it as well. Is there anyone that we can bring in as a stopgap until then? I don't know. I'll be honest, guys. I'm not an oracle of knowledge. I'm just like you guys. I'm a massive Villa fan. I absolutely love this football club, and if you cut me open, I'll bleed claret and blue. But I'm not an oracle in terms of knowledge. I talk about this purely from a fan point of view and fan aspects. I really wish I could give you that insight and in depth breakdown and analysis of it, but I don't understand it enough to, or I would be lying to you and chatting out my arse, and I'm not going to do that. I did speak to some of you that are on TikTok and Instagram may know Adam the CCO, who he rips apart these things a lot better than I am, and I'll be honest with you, he's a lot more educated than I am. And he said that his understanding is it would massively impact the Rodgers money, and it would basically fuck us massively if we was to do so. This is a very interesting one. Now I like it, but my understanding is, isn't he off to Trabzonspor to join Mohamed Salah? I've always been a massive fan of Darwin Núñez. I think he's a good player. I just obviously the problem with him is his ability to put the ball back in the back of the net, which is what you want from your forward. But I think his overall gameplay has always been top. He runs he runs the channels very well. His hold up plays very well. His link up plays fucking brilliant. But is he? Is that? I don't think it's available. I'm pretty sure I read that he was going to Trabzonspor. Could be completely wrong. Blow me apart in the comment section if I am. Let me have a quick look if we've got any other comments that we can go through. Callum, thank you, mate. It says, good to see you back on YouTube. I am trying to get back onto the YouTube scene. It's one of the most difficult platforms to grow, but we are trying our utmost to grow this channel. So if you are new to here, please drop us a follow. It's massively appreciated. I appreciate all the support from everyone, whether you're a Villa fan or not. Okay, so Corey says that there was no deal in place with either being reported today. So Darwin Núñez is still available, as apparently he's a free agent. So that is also an option. I rate him. I do personally. So is Brian Maggio ready to step up to be the main man? Does anyone believe that he can do that? Because as much as I'll rave about him and I'll say he's a fantastic footballer, he's gonna grow and develop and potentially be an England striker, potentially be the replacement to Harry Kane long term. I don't think we can put that much pressure on his shoulders at such a young age. I think it would be silly and a massive risk from the football club to do so. I think we need to have that second striker to play, for him to play off, and I play minutes around him. I don't think it is the right idea. A bit like the Watkins and Duran situation. Watkins was the main man, Duran was coming on, and then Duran got to the point where he was absolutely flying, and there was an argument that he should have taken over from Watkins long term. But I'm so glad that we didn't do that, and he's kind of gone on his merry way, and he's doing whatever he's doing. He's at Benfica, and I don't think I think he's doing okay, but he's only very short in that tenure at Benfica. He'll probably be playing at somewhere, I don't know, in North Korea or something in a few years. There must be a bargain striker out there. Gary, I'll tell you what, mate, I went through Transfer Market at the most valuable strikers, and I went down about 6 pages. And that's kind of what got me to some of the names that I mentioned earlier on in the stream. And mate, honestly, I couldn't think of who the best. Honestly, the name that I keep arriving to is Nicholas Jackson. And so many amongst the fan base just don't want him, and I don't get why personally. You see some Chelsea fans that are absolutely raving about him, and then it's like a very mixed bag. But the caveat for me and the argument always is Cole Palmer produces best stuff for Chelsea when Nicholas Jackson was up front. Cole Palmer was ridiculous because Jackson does, stretches the pitch, gets in behind, gives so much space for the tens. And Manzambi and Buendia and John McGinn would absolutely love to play with him. It's similar to how Ollie Watkins, how he stretches the defence. Morgan Rogers, prime example, picking up the ball in the pockets when it drops and, getting a shot away. Exactly what you'd get from Nicholas Jackson. And he knows Emery. He knows how Emery likes to play. He knows how Emery works. He understands everything that you're buying into when you go to an Emery side, all the long meetings. And that's another one that you have to get around. Players have to get their head around very, very quickly because not many clubs have the in-depth analysis. Like, don't get me wrong, they do, but not apparently to what Unai Emery is. Unai Emery's in Bodymore Reef at 6 o'clock in the morning and going home at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night because the bloke absolutely lives, breathes, eats, shits football. And not many clubs managers get to that level of what detail that Unai Emery does. And there's a fucking very good reason why we are where we are. And let's be realistic now as a fan base. With some of the players that we've had under Unai Emery, they were absolutely shite until he took over. And he's absolutely ripped them apart and turns the majority of them into fantastic players. So it's like you can't knock what Emery's done. You always have to trust Unai Emery in whatever he does. Emery has wanted a more technical striker for ages. Ferran Torres and Rashford, I can see us going for one. Ferran Torres has signed for PSG, and Rashford's obviously at United. Rashford's on a significant wage. Ferran Torres would have been the perfect one, but I've always seen him as Unai Emery's wet dream as a forward. He's absolutely fantastic, and he's literally the mould you'd want for an Emery striker. Do you know what my view on this is? And I said this earlier on. I was on the full of a Paul McGrath. I was watching Neil talk about the exact same what we're going through now, and my view on it is I don't think the club anticipated this. I think they had some sniff that there was interest in him, but I don't think they anticipated it to get to this level for it to be this level to the point where they've put a bid in. Because I think if they did, I don't think they signed Garnacho, and I want him to work. I want Garnacho to work, and this isn't a criticism of him at all, so please don't take it that way. I think they would have held off, and they would have got Nicholas Jackson on that loan with an obligation to buy. I think that would have been the more sensible route, and then we could have looked at a different winger. But hey ho, this is how the cookie crumbles, and this is why we're in the position that we're in now. It's just what we do around the striker situation. Look, and there is very much a possibility because we as a football club have shown throughout the whole of this window, we are not going to get bullied. We will not get the piss taken out of us. If Ezri Konsa goes to Arsenal, I am pretty confident we will get at least 50 million. Close. We want 60, 65, but we will get at least 50 million. Morgan Rogers, they wanted to only pay 80 million. We got 117 million. We will get the best fee that we can possibly get for our players. Pretty sure that'll be the exact same with Ollie Watkins as well. I've lost my trail of thought then. I just went off on a bit of a tangent. But yeah, anyway, if anyone can just remind me where I just was, I've just had an absolute meltdown there. But yeah, Ollie Watkins, we'll get the fee for him, and it's whether we can make something happen with Nicholas Jackson in terms of moving things around. I don't know what that's going to look like. I'm pretty sure as and when this, this. Oh, we've had an absolute belting comment here, Gary. This is fucking gold. This is unlock the gates for Ross McCormack. Get that fat little fucker out of his fucking house. Honestly, do you know what's mad, guys? That we went from those championship days with some of the absolute dross that we had, not even just the championship days, the relegation season that we had, some of the players that we had, like Libor Kozak, Nicholas Hellenius, Grant Holt. I will never forget, I was sat in the Holt end, yeah, I was sat in the Holt end for this game. Do you remember when he scored? I can't remember who it was against, and he went up to the Holt end and done that on the back of his shirt. Grant Holt, please, if one of you can remember the game, let me know. My memory's a bit hazy, but I'll never forget that moment. And I just remember pissing myself laughing to me and my friends, like, who the fuck does he think he is? Is it your Grant Holt, mate, not fucking Ronaldo? Yeah, so sometimes we have to take a bit of a pinch of salt to where we've gone as a football club because, look, one of the big things I bloody hate is the old big six, Spurs or Villa. I hate that argument. Just I focus on Villa. I love how Villa are doing. I love the progression that the club are going on. But I remember back in, the mid 2000s when we were neck and neck with Spurs and we were challenging to, get into the top four and, under Martin O'Neill, and we nearly broke it. And then obviously Randy Lerner, whatever went on with him. And, I'm pretty positive that the downfall of Lerner happened in kind of in tangent when he fucking, whatever happened with his wife, and then he got his divorce, lost some money, and then he just completely lost interest with the club. He pulled out, etc. And then next thing you know, we just fucking absolutely plummeted. And I'll tell you who doesn't get enough credit for what he did during that time. Paul Lambert, the way he kept us up with the side that he had, fucking miraculous, because we had an absolutely shocking side. But between him and Christian Benteke's another fantastic striker. While we're on the topic of fantastic strikers, what I'd do to have a fucking prime Benteke right now. They did so well to keep us up, and then obviously Tim come in, and then we just declined. So sometimes we have to take it a bit of a pinch of salt, don't we? That where we are, we're talking about selling a striker who's our record Premier League goal scorer, selling him to bring in a potentially new striker, when we were looking at a few, 10, 15 years ago, when we were looking at fucking Grant Holt, Libor Kozak, Nicholas Elenius getting, remember when he got debagged and his shorts pulled down on the pitch? I'm sure his knob nearly come out. God, you have to laugh, don't you? James Saunders has just shared that Ollie Watkins' potential move to Al-Hilal could open the door for Aston Villa to reignite their interest in Nicholas Jackson. Discussions have taken place with Chelsea from Ben Jacobs. I cannot stand Ben Jacobs. Absolute. Him and Fabrizio Romano, guys, I'll be honest with you, I really, really do not like either. I think both of them personally are like social media influencers rather than actual journalists, and they just post for the sake of posting half the time. I much prefer Jacob Tanswell. I think he's absolutely brilliant. I love Jacob Tanswell. And then the big one is David Ornstein. Whenever that man posts anything, he is the absolute oracle. I'll take it for gospel that it's actually happening. But I think what we need to do as a fan base, guys, is we need to kind of brace ourselves a little bit, because I think the next few weeks are going to be a bit rocky. I think there's going to be a lot changing. A lot of players could come and go. I don't think this is the end. Obviously, I fully expect Konsa, Watkins, Martinez, at least 2 or 3, if not all 3, to be out of the door, which is horrible, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. Football changes, football moves forward, but now I'm speaking not from a logical aspect and not just talking as a person just talking about the current situation of the squad, but talking about from a personal aspect and personal feelings. I absolutely love all 3 of them. The memories that they've given me as a football fan, some of the best memories of my life following this club, and I'll be devastated to see them go. I fully trust Unai Emery. I fully trust Roberto Alabi. I fully trust Amir Vidagani to get the recruitment right, to put Emery in a position to be able to challenge for top 5 Champions League football again. I'd be very surprised if they don't do that. But yeah, I'll be gutted to see him go. I'm not going to lie. I think it'd be a bit of a bitter pill to swallow. But we as football fans move on. No one is bigger than the club. No one is bigger than Aston Villa. And we as a fan base will get behind whoever comes in. This is a really interesting one. And I'll be honest with you, Bozza, I haven't really looked that deeply into it in terms of what centre-back we'll bring in. I will probably do some sort of content on it over the next few days and try and assess certain targets that we could get. I think it's going to be hard because, the prime example for me is look at Liverpool, for example. They have got Jeremy Jacquet, Joe Gomez, Van Dijk. I think there's one more I'm missing out on. There's going to be another one. But anyway, the point is, they're old. They're not old. Jeremy Jacquet is quite young. Leone, the Italian lad. So Jacquet and Leone have both suffered quite nasty injuries. Van Dijk's 36 years old, And then we've got, and then they've just signed Araujo from Barcelona, who's he's not exactly fantastic, and he gets injuries himself. So it's like, you know, that kind of shows the market really. If they're going to sign Araujo and hoping that he stays fit and hoping that he plays to the ability that he can do, so it's yeah, it's quite an interesting one. This is a good one actually, James. I presume you're speaking about Zabanye, the guy that was at Bournemouth, and he's a top centre back, and he's available. My understanding is so that would be a fantastic choice. To be fair, mate, and I'll back you. Um, Let me just scroll down, guys. Just catching up. This one, Dan, absolutely not, mate. Tamore is fucking shite. There is a big reason why he hasn't left AC Milan, and the big reason why he hasn't played enough minutes for England. So, for a bit of context, I went to watch AC Milan this year. I did the perfect weekend. For any of you those that would love like that, I recommend this highly. Try and look for a weekend when Como are at home and go and watch one of the Milan sides. It's such a wicked experience. Como is literally maybe an hour on the train, and the train costs like €10 from Milan to Como, and it's a fantastic experience. Do both of them over the weekend. It's class. You get to see the San Siro, iconic stadium. Anyway, point of the story is sat there in the stadium watching AC Milan. Really good game. I think it was like 4-3. Really good game. But the absolute one of two worst players on the pitch actually. One was Luka Modric, who was terrible. You could kind of see that he had aged and he was not the player that he was. And the second one, he got hooked at half time, was Tamori. He was dreadful, mate. Absolutely dreadful. Now I know players can have bad games, but fuck me, he was that bad. Do you think we can go for Kwanzaa? I hope not, mate. Personally, I'm not a massive fan of him either. I thought he showed his level at the World Cup, how shit he is as well. I think it's a in fact, thank you as well for putting the comments in, guys, and letting me know your thoughts and potential ones. As I think, look, either way, I'm going to trust the club, whoever they look to bring in. But it's nice, it's good to talk about these things and get that out there as fans, really, and try and assess who we could potentially go for. I saw links to Roger Ibanez from one of the I can't remember the name now. It's not Al-Hilal. It's the other one, playing green, don't they? I can't remember the name of the side now. But anyway, but I don't particularly like the links to that and to him. I get a bit nervous bringing someone back from Saudi. To be honest, are they going to be the same player that there was before they left? Who knows? But yeah, there's gonna be someone. As I say, I'm gonna have a bit of a deep dive and try and think of some targets, and I'll do some short form content and put it out on my social channels, and give a bit of guidance as to who I would go for. Let me have a quick look. Apparently, Tomori's off to Coventry City. Good luck to them. Uh, yeah, that's not ideal, is it? So yeah, so free announced potentially this week. Gary's just put it up. But where are we? So we've got obviously Aaron Wan-Bissaka. We've got the goalkeeper Zion Suzuki, and then we've also got the left back Ruggieri. Them three will all be announced. Palhinha, likelihood is we will get him through the door on loan, and that will be announced. That's 4 through the door. That puts us into a stronger position. But then we need to really start thinking about our forwards. Are we going to sign a striker? Will we get another central sort of player or a winger? I still think we need, which comes on to nicely onto the next comment from Richards 1874. I think we need, on top of the ones that we've already signed. So you're looking at one, two, striker. I would say three at least, in my opinion. I would like to see a striker, but again, this highly matters. Is reflective on what the club think, really, in terms of do they think Allison is ready? Do they think Allison's going to be ready to play second fiddle to John McGinn and really impact the team? I would still like a central player, a striker, and then I would also like someone who can play like the 10 or in the pocket sort of player, like a João Felix, not João Felix as per se, but that sort of mold of player. I think we've been kind of screaming out for someone who can play just that second striker role, a bit like Moussa Diaby used to play for us since he left. I don't think we've ever replaced him. Sorry, I'm just catching up on so it was Al Ittihad, the one that Roger Ibanez is at. So in other words, he was just using Villa to get a new deal. He's fucking, you get that all the time. That's an interesting one, actually. So we have been linked to bring Kim Min Jae to the football club. Not that I think he's a particularly fantastic player. I remember at our place when we played them in the Champions League, Watkins actually tore him a new arsehole. I'm pretty sure you'll all agree with me. I remember when it was 100% him, and when he spun him on the halfway line, and he pulled him down, and he should have. Was it him? I'm sure it was him. It was one of the Bayern centre backs, but I'm pretty positive it was Kim, and he should have got sent off because he pulled him down, and it was like, what the fuck? How's that not a red card? And Watkins actually he done him for he sent him for a hot dog. But the good thing about that is if we was to go for Kim again, another Asia player, South Korean, and potentially grow yourself in the Asian market even further. Da, da, da. Al-Ali, that's it. It's not Ali Tiad, it's Al-Ali. Wild one. Corey Webley with the big shout. He is available and he's fucking. I'll tell you who's a top centre back from Italy, Scalvini. We'll go on to him in a minute, but yeah, Bastoni would be class, but how realistic is that? How much is that going to cost to get him out of Inter? I think that'd be a bit of a big one financially, but obviously with the sale of Konsa, if he goes, we've got money to spend. Surely we have, and surely we could bring someone in of decent quality. It's just who that player is. I'll tell you who was available, which I was surprised we didn't look at. Antonio Silva, the guy who has been now signed by Bournemouth, and it's a fucking brilliant signing that is. Really, really, really good signing. He'll probably be at Chelsea or something within a few seasons when he's shown in the Premier League that he can do it for Bournemouth. Real good player, clever, real young up and coming centre back. The other one's Scalvini. I would absolutely snap someone's hand off to bring him in. He's a fantastic centre back. He reminds me of a proper old school Italian centre half, and he'll be one of the best in the game. Right, we have done 42 minutes, guys, on the stream. We have gone off on a bit of a tangent, but I think it's been good to talk to you all, have a good chat about the situation going on at Aston Villa, and I've loved, having this chat with you all, and I hope you've all enjoyed the stream. Make sure, if you aren't already, to make sure to smash that subscribe button. It's really, really appreciated to, helping the channel grow. And like I said, there's a lot of like really cool stuff coming up over the next few months. Hopefully, should be able to give you a bit more detail in the next couple of weeks. So, final one from me, as always, up the Villa.